Hi, Kate. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for meeting with me today. So, I have this new fifth grade student that I'm working on the essential element of grade five MD 1A, which is telling time using an analog or digital clock to the quarter or half hour.
Hmm.
And when I checked the prerequisite skills by showing the pictures of the digital clock on the hour, the student appeared to be able to tell the time on the digital clock to the hour. However, after the first week or so of progress monitoring, take a look at what my graph is. Let me show you my graph.
Okay.
Are you able to see that on your screen?
Yeah. Yes. Oh.
So I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the
Hmm.
number correct that this student received on this essential element.
Yikes. Okay. So, what high leverage practices and evidence-based practices have you been using to teach?
Well, for this particular student, I've been using explicit instruction with
Mhm.
manipulatives. I've also done some modeling, guided practice, like the things that we always do.
Sounds good. Um, well, looking at the database instruction checklists, the first thing to rule out is fidelity of implementation problems. Do you have a copy of the database individualization checklist? When you model, do you make sure that the student is paying attention before you give the clock?
Well, I do have a copy of the DBI checklist, so I
Yeah.
have been looking at that. And I always like to keep the student involved. So we do the first one or two together, and then I have her do it on her own.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think that these zero scores might be telling you?
Well, maybe that I need to model one or two examples as like the I do, and then do some more guided practice with her, possibly remove some of that scaffolding that we've learned about,
Mhm.
and then maybe some prompt removal too, to see that she's having success before I just have her go do it by herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That modeling piece is sometimes it's really important, even though we like to get them engaged straight away. Don't forget to set a goal line of where you want your student to be to show mastery.
Oh, great point. Thanks for that. I'll certainly do that.
So, how have things been going since the last time we met, Heather?
Well, I have modeled some examples, but I've also increased the amount of guided practice, as
Hmm.
well as increasing the math practice by 10 minutes 3 times a week. So let me show you my graph
Hmm.
for this time.
Hmm.
Are you able to see that?
Yeah, wow, she's definitely increased her scores. What are you thinking?
Well, first I did set my goal line, put this line here so we know that there was a change in something. And I look at this data and I'm really happy that we have done better than the first few weeks,
Mhm.
but I'm a little concerned, like look at Mondays and Fridays.
Mm,
She's
yeah.
still not on target to meet her goal, even if she's more consistent.
Hmm. Yeah. So what might be your next step? Those days, that's interesting. What might be your next step, do you think?
Well, when I was looking at the DBI checklist, I think that I really need to figure out what is happening on Mondays and Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should do some diagnostic assessments or an air analysis to find out if there's anything else going on.
I think that's a great idea. So what were the results from your assessment, Heather?
Well, on Mondays and Wednesdays, this student works with the paraprofessional. She, I found out, administers the assessment as soon as she comes in and then lets the student play on her iPad when she's finished. So When I work with a student on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, she only earns 10 minutes on the iPad, and that's the end of the instructional time. And that's her reward for completing and checking her work using our self-monitoring checklist. Another thing I learned was that the assessment had simple questions like, what time do you eat lunch or breakfast? And it required the student to produce the numbers on the digital clock. It also asked before and after or first then type questions, and the student had to put clocks on the activities in a sequence. And that really hasn't been the focus of my instruction. So there was a mismatch there.
Okay, that really seems like a lot of useful information. What are you thinking of doing in terms of adapting instruction moving forward?
Well, I think first, the paraprofessional and I need to be on the same page in terms of reinforcement. And I know that's definitely the first part on the DBI checklist. Also, since the student can do the task as well as check her work independently, I want to make sure that she can do that with the paraprofessional too before she earns that 10 minutes on her iPad.
It's a great idea. That's a great suggestion. Yeah.
Then I was thinking, I know you've talked a lot about making sure that my assessment is matching my instruction, and that I've struggled with that in the past. So I want to be make sure that what I'm teaching is matching that. So I need the student to be able to use time in different contexts and settings, and to understand time attributes. So I really should be including that in my instruction, and then teach explicitly so she's able to generalize that as well.
That's another good idea. I think you've come up with a really great plan moving forward. We'll have to check in again and see how she does. Okay.
Right.